built a masterpiece. Learned the ghetto gospel after moving ghetto D. Had to bring it to the lake for the world to see. Yeah, I'm about it. I think I'm Master P. Feel like the last dime. I built a masterpiece. Learned the ghetto gospel after moving ghetto D. Had to bring it to the lake for the world to see. These rappers rap about it. I really live this shit. I was scraping up the block. I plead no innocence. Living war rules a profit from my arrogance. So I teach the truth, living by commandments. Spirit game strong, yeah. Mitrion with the fringes. Had to circumcise my heart and show you how I'm with the business. It's all fall back and know about Revelation. Chapter 2, verse 9, the synagogue of Satan. I teach my people bloodline, but we stiff as
So we're gonna kind of go to the spirit leaders, you know what I mean? And yeah, what comes out, you know what I'm saying? Brother Dawid, man, I already know you have, you stay stocked up, ammo loaded full of precepts, you know what I mean? So I would like to get you, oh, wow, you got the big.
How's that? You like that?
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh yeah. Now
I love it. I love it. You know what it reminds me of? My favorite biblical movie, The Ten Commandments. Whenever Joshua would get out there and blow that thing, Joshua was always my boyfriend as a little girl. I'm like, oh, and I was like, if I ever have a son, his name is gonna be Joshua. But when he blew that thing, oh God, I love it. You just took me back to the holy days of the early Bible days. That's what it reminds me of. I love it. It just makes you feel so close to the Most High.
It does. You know, when you blow it, it is a call to him, because they used it for the calling out to Israel for two purposes. One is to gather, and the other one is for war, or excuse me, like to gather and to come. Like there's certain calls that you would use it for. If you heard it in a certain tone, like then it's probably a war. If it's a long sound, it's a time to gather. And then there's a certain sound that only the leaders is supposed to gather. There's a certain sound that's supposed to be all the congregation supposed to gather. So they used it for all those different things. And when they would go to war, they would sound the trumpets. Those are different. So they would sound different. The silver trumpets is different from the shofar. Well, when the children of Israel heard, there you go. Yeah, when the children of Israel heard that sound, when Yah gave them the 10 words, the shofar was what was used to bring that sound. And so they heard that, they saw fire, they saw lightning and thunder and dark clouds. So that's the purpose. It's a heralding call, and it has to do with leadership, because the horn is called Karen, like a word called a woman named Karen. It's called Karen. That's the Hebrew word for horn. And so when you think about the horn, you think about leadership, right? And so whoever hears this sound is saying it's a call. It's being called. And so when Yah, and this is what I strongly believe, when Yah decides to come back, this would probably be the sound that people will hear when he comes back. It's in a majestic call. It's a sound that they're going to hear. That's going to cause the whole world. When they hear it, it's not going to be. It's not, they're gonna be terrified, because then it's over. It's gonna be over at that time. Yeah.
When ye go to war in the land of the enemies that oppress you, ye shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and ye shall be remembered before the Lord your God, and he said, ye shall be saved from amongst your enemies.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's straight scripture.
Praise the Holy One of Israel. Yeah. So when that, like I said, like Isaiah said, he said, when I come, He asked Yah to break the sky open. He asked him, he said, why don't you tear open the sky? We're waiting for you to tear the sky open and come down so the nations will know your name and know who you are. So we're just waiting for that. Yeah. And so that's indicative. And what time did he come down? He came down in fire. You know, every time he shows himself in fire. So that's when they're going to know him. Because remember, the question is asked to Israel, who has ever heard or seen such a thing, and yet they were alive like we are today? And that's going to be the determining factor when Yah shows up, when Israel's the ones who are still alive and other people are going to die. So he's going to show the difference that who Israel is at that moment. It's going back.
It's going down.
Yeah, it's going down.
It's gonna be a beautiful day, man. All right, man. All praises to the Most High, man. All praises to the Most High. Brother Achi'Ka Dawid, would you like to lead us in prayer, man?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All praise to the Most High, man. The gathering of Israel. Brother Phinehas, man, got my Achi'Ka Dawid, man. And we're going to go ahead and get our Bible study started.
Beret ku et Yahweh de Hamburak, the Baruch Yahweh de Hamburak, the Lalam Wayet. I said, Baruch Ata Yahweh Elohenu Melech Halam. Asher de Bekal de Benu de Hamamayim. De Natan Lenu de Et Torato. Baruch Ata Yahweh de Notan HaTorah. Baruch Ata Yahweh de Elohenu Melech Halam. O Asher, the Natale knew the Torah, the admitted it with Kaye Alam. O the Natal de Bothoki knew, the Baruch Atah Yahweh, the Nothana HaTorah. Blessed are you, Yahweh. Blessed are you, Yahweh, the Holy One of Israel. Blessed are you, Yahweh, our Elohim. You're the King of the universe, who selected us from all the peoples and gave us his Torah. Blessed are you, Yahweh, the giver of the Torah. Blessed are you, Yahweh, our Elohim, the King of the universe, who selected us from all the peoples to give us his Torah, who's implanted eternal life within us, who has given us life. And blessed are you, Yahweh, the giver of the Torah. Hallelujah, be to the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Yitzchak, the Elohim of Yaakov. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Praise the Holy One of Israel.
All praise to the Most High Yahweh, man. Man, that prayer is so beautiful, man. I got to step my Hebrew game up, man, and learn the original dialect, man.
That is so beautiful. That is beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful.
And for those that don't know, you know what I'm saying, my brother Achi'Ka Dawid, he is a Hebrew scholar. And he actually knows all. See, what people don't realize, there's actually 3 different, and I just learned this recently, he just taught us this. There are 3 different dialects of Hebrew that are being spoken. And it goes farther back to the Paleo, as they try to say that the Paleo Hebrew is the ancient. Oh, it ain't. This brother right here knows all 3. Trying to tell y'all, man, he knows all 3, man. So all praise to the Most High, Yah, man, for this brother, you know what I'm saying, teaching us the Hebrew, still babes in his truth. And, man, we're going to keep it going, man. We're going to keep it going.
Praise the Holy One of Israel.
That's right. That's right. All right, man, let's go ahead and get our Bible study started, man. Let's go ahead and keep it moving, man. Let's go to the book of Obadiah, the 1st chapter. And I actually, man, I love the book of Obadiah because he didn't do no faking. He got straight to the point concerning what the Most High Yah said. And he summed it all up in 1 chapter.
Hey, you guys do know what his name means, right?
Bring it out, huh?
Oh, his name is called Obadiah, right? And it means the servant of Yah, Yah's servant.
Oh, praise it.
Aved, yeah, his root of his name means Aved, and Aved means to serve. It means a servant, meaning a slave. Okay. In the Hebrew culture, there's no distinction between a servant and a slave. They're both the same. Yah says that we're his slaves.
Right.
Yeah, we're his slaves forever. Like when he bought us, we're forever, we're redeemed forever. And so, those who decide that they want to stay with him, you got to literally be committed to, you got to be loyal to him in order to stay with him. But yeah, it means servant, the servant of Yah.
All praises, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, man, brother Obadiah, man, servant of Yah, he ain't do no faking concerning the word of the Most High Yah. He got straight to the point. Straight to the point.
That's what he say. What did he say?
Man, Obadiah, the only chapter. And I'm going to go ahead and read verse 9. The meat that I want is verse 11, but we're going to start at verse 8. We'll read down to 11.
Okay.
And the scripture says, shall I not in that day, saith our Elohim, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and the understanding out of the mount of Esau? He's like, shall I not pay Esau back for what he did? He knew exactly what he did to his brother, right?
Yes, he did.
It was a real wicked thing when he sold us unto the so-called white men, man. You know what I mean? That was wicked. That was wicked, man. When they rounded us up, man, that was horrible, right? Verse 9, and thy mighty men of Teman shall be dismayed to the end that everyone of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. Most High said he about to be off with Esau. Mm-hmm. It's done easy, out of here, no longer, right? Verse 10, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. That's going to be one nation that will no longer be here on this plane of existence.
How long?
Forever. He's not playing with Edom, right? And that day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces and foreigners entered into his gates and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was as one of them. You guys dig that?
Yeah.
Man, you got anything you want to add on to that? Achi'Ka?
No, I have this chart that I'll share with you. It has the wrong name on it, but it's good information. And let me just see if I can.
Yeah, bring it up.
If I share it with you guys. So in this chart here, right here, I was doing a study on this before, and what you see Avad right here.
Mm-hmm.
That move this out the way. This name right here is servant. Okay. And in the Hebrew, it's going to be a ayin with the I, and then it's going to be a bet. Okay. And then it's going to be a dalet. Okay. It's a slave. Okay. It's called a avad. Oh, I don't like that dalet right there. Just trying to write it out for us. Avad. Okay. So avad is a servant. And this part right here really should be a Y. There was no I there in the Hebrew. So avad Yah. Okay. So either you could say the Yah servant or the servant of Yah. Okay. That's what it really is. It's not this Jehovah thing here. Anyway, what's interesting here is that it doesn't say thus saith the Lord, it's actually thus saith Yahweh concerning Edom, right? And Edom is Jacob's brother. This is his brother. His brother's always had a problem with him. He's always been trying to destroy him since day one. Nothing else known of him. Okay, so let me get some information. All right, so the verses that you read, what verses were you reading? You were reading in verse number 11, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So right here, if this little chart, you could get it, or I could send it to you guys. And what it's talking about is that
he's letting you know what Edom's folly was. He showed indifference to Israel. When they went and invaded them, they were like on the other people's side. And he identified with Israel's enemies. And that's why Yah's going to destroy him. Is simply because Esau's relatives, Edom means, even though he speaks of him as one, he's really talking about the nation. And he said that he looked with pleasure on Israel's difficulties in verse number 12. So these are the attitudes that someone who hates you will do. Okay. They will do that. You know an enemy by someone who's identifying with the people to try to harm you. Yah tells us, I think it's in Exodus. I don't know if it's 27 or 28, but he tells us not to despise this brother of ours, this brother who's done these things. Even though they've done what they've done, Yah has commanded us never to do anything to them. He's commanded us never to hate them, never despise them. And you would ask yourself, well, after all that they've done to us, why wouldn't he allow us to hate them? And why wouldn't he not allow us to despise them? Because Yah does not allow us to commit evil. He doesn't allow us to do that. And so he says, all the people that have ever gone against you, I'm going to do to them with what has happened to you. So when they showed indifference to Israel and they side busted with our enemies, it made Yah very, very angry. And that's why he says that, and I think in the book of Malachi, that I'm going to destroy your land will always be a desolation before me. And so these verses that you're reading about are really just giving you the reasons why Yah is bringing judgment. This week's Torah portion was talking about judgment. And I was trying to get the class. I think I sent the video to a lot of people and I posted on my Facebook that talks about how and why Yah does judgment. And a lot of times we don't understand what it is. And like, we don't understand why he won't allow us to hate them. It's simply because Yah's divine judgment doesn't allow us to hate our brother, whether he's an Edomite or whether he's Esau or whatever, or especially Hebrew. I think I heard it in your song that you did. You mentioned it. You said 19:7 Leviticus about hating your brother and holding grudges. So because of this grudge that Esau has for his brother, he was like, you know what? Remember what he said when he got his blessing taken away. He didn't get it taken away from him. He said, this is the second time that he cheated me out of my blessing, which is not true. That's the way he perceived it. He actually gave his blessing away. So his hatred for his brother, he's always been wanting to kill him. He's always been wanting to kill him, even though they met, and him and Esau met and it was all good. His descendants have always hated Yaakov. And the reason why they hate Yaakov, when he talks about Edom, he's talking about all his family. The reason why they hate Yaakov is because, which is us, is because of the inheritance that we're going to get. That's the reason why he hates us. That's the reason he's mad as hell about that, because they get all, you remember what the blessing was. He said, Father, please, is there anything that you have left? And his father said, look, I've already given him the blessing. There's nothing I could do. I can't turn it. Once I spoke in Yahweh's name, I can't turn this back. And he cried and he cried and he said, okay, yeah, well, we're going to give you the land, the due of the land and so forth and so on. And he goes on and tell him about those things. And that's why Esau right now is ruling the world. He's literally ruling. He's ruling the world right now. His hand is on a lot of things. He's against Israel. And so, and that's because he hates his brother, right? So we know off of that the reason being is because of the blessing. See, it's one thing to inherit the earth and the land, but it's another thing to have a double portion of everything. So all the best of the earth belongs to Yaakov, because he's the son who received the double portion. So whatever he gets is going to be greater than what Esau ever gets. And so when we look at those two things, that's the difference. He says one of the nations are going to be stronger than the other, and what does he say? The elder should serve the younger. This guy is really angry and he's pissed off about it. So that's what it is. They thought at this in particular moment, this is our opportunity to get everything that we lost. Now we can take over what belongs to us. And so that's what it is.
For that breakdown, that gives complete clarity, and everybody get to see that. Everybody understand that. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of Christians and Christians, they try to argue and say that it was actually stolen.
Oh yeah, no.
Because they try to say the mother dressed Yaakov up, you know what I'm saying, made him hairy, you know what I'm saying, so his father would think that.
Yeah.
But we got to realize this, it was already ordained by the Most High. So
Right.
however the Most High allowed it to play it out, he already said it before, you know,
Yeah.
it was born. So
He
it
told
doesn't
me that.
matter
Yeah.
how it happened. The Most High already ordained it from the get-go.
Yes. And he told her, and guess what she was doing? She's trying to fulfill the promise.
Right.
She was just being obedient to what Yah had told her. She already knew that, hey, Yaakov, he's going to be the one.
Mhm.
He's going to be the one. And by the way, she was upset because Esau went out and he married the women, the Canaanite women. He married
Right.
a Canaanite woman, and he married some other woman that wasn't about it. They weren't about the family of they weren't trying to preserve. They were like a thorn, they said in the Torah, that these two women were a thorn in her side. They were a thorn to her. And so, just based off of that, even the children that they had were a thorn to the family. You know, when you get the wrong people in your family and you just let anybody in your family, you have some problems. You have some problems. You marry the wrong people, it's over. You get with the heathen and, you trying to learn their ways and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be bad business for the family. I know it speaks of it in the book of Jasher too, about Abraham telling his son Ishmael about you may need to replace that tent peg because of the way that this woman was lacking hospitality. Yes, she was lacking hospitality. Jasher and Maccabees and all these other books are good for you to get some history content on the history of our people. So these individuals were they were problematic for Israel because you guys, we're a royal line. That's what we are. We're not just ordinary people. We're royal descendants, because it says, "Out of you shall come kings and princes out of Sarah." So, and then when they married these other people, that's what happens. That's exactly what happened. So that's a problem for us when we allow these people. And that's why Yah says, don't contaminate the family line. Okay, because if you contaminate it, you're gonna have some problems. So even look at this right here. Here's the line of Esau and Jacob, right? So you look at Esau, you look at the family, right? There it is right there. It tells you how, who, when, and all those things, okay? So in this chart right here, we see that, Sarah had Isaac, and Isaac got with Rivka, and, which was Laban's sister. And then, they had Esau and Jacob come from this, and the union is in, Genesis 24. That's where we'll find it. Then over here, what you see is Esau. He marries these women here, or this one, Mahalath Basemath, and then she has all these different sons. These are the chiefs of Edom. Okay, and then he also marries Ada, and she's a Kitty, and that was a definite problem. So that right there is one of the people that Yah says he's going to destroy. And he also married a Kiwi. These two women, okay? That's the problem. These are the families of the people that Yah says going to destroy and kill them because I don't like their ways. Okay. So we can see right there that she had these three sons, right? And then Eliphaz, which is his son, and he had Timnah. That was his concubine, and they had Amalek. And as you know, Amalek is somebody that Yah says, I'm eternally angry with him, and remember them to kill them and destroy them. Never let them come around me. That's the deal. These people right here called Amalek, they're the ones that Yah says, I want you to make sure that you destroy them.
Right. They did a lot of wicked things, man, when we was in the wilderness.
Yes, they did a lot of stuff to us. They attacked us from behind.
Right.
Joshua fought them, but they never fully got rid of these people. Okay. So these are enemies, right? And these sons, which are, the chiefs of Edom, right, of Edom, those are his sons. All these are the chiefs of those guys. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He got 13. Yeah, he got 13. But one of those sons were from a concubine right here. So he doesn't really count as one of his hereditary sons because he's from a concubine. But at any rate, this guy here, that family is a problem. And they've always been a problem for Israel. So we know that all these sons over here, all these people are definitely against. Look at Kenaz. They're there. All these people,
They're all again Zerah, meaning seed, all of them, and all their names mean something. Okay. So it's 12 of them against the 12 sons of Yaakov. So they call them chiefs over here, and they call us tribes, right? We're the heads of the families. So yeah, there's always this contention, right? So he got his chiefs, and that's what it is. Also, too, just to let you know that a lot of people are against Israel. Not only these, but okay, so oh boy, this is amazing. Everybody on this side of the chart, all right, families. All right, so we got these are all of our family members. Okay. Hear me and hear me well. There are family members. And these people too, from Lot's sons, Ammon and Moab, they're our family. We got family all over the place. You know, Kedar means dark, and Duma and Hadar and Kedemah and all that kind of stuff, and Timah and Naphish and Masa and Mishma, all these guys, Abdul, all these guys, these Arabs, they're all from Ishmael. All these Jordanians and Moab and all them Moabites and all them, they're our relatives, they're our cousins. Okay. So we're correct, we're connected. And Esau went and married her from Ishmael. This is Ishmael's I think granddaughter or something. Mahalath Basamath. If you see, the family line comes from Ishmael. That's where she comes from. When Esau found out that his parents didn't like these two women, they hated them, and you can see why, because they were a Kiti and a Kiwi. They call them Hittite and a Hivite, but they're not that. The letters are really called they're Kets. They're CH sounds. It really shouldn't be a H. It should be a CH. So one is called a Kiwi, and it shouldn't be a V. It should be a W. Okay. So that little V right here is really a W. Okay. So it's Kiwi, and this is a Kiti. Okay. So the Kiti and the Kiwi. And you can see, like, if you say those names, Kiti and Kiwi, don't they sound African?
Yeah.
They're Africans. So Yah is saying, I don't want you to mess with these people. These people right here are disgusting. These people right here have sex with animals. These people have sex with each other. These people are very, they kill their children. They sacrifice them. They're in the voodoo. They're in all those things. Mm-hmm. Right? So you can see, and then all these people over here are now all against Israel, against Jacob, all of them. There's not one of these. The Midians came against Israel along with the Moabs. Remember, they came against them. The Midians, all of them. So they're not only our brothers and cousins and stuff like that, but they're jealous and they're angry because Yah chose this family. Out of all the families on the face of the earth, he chose these sons, all these sons. And there's 12 of them. You see? And out of our family, Yehuda, and we got Lewi and all these two families, Yah chose for the office of priest, and this one for the king. And these people are jealous. All of them are jealous. So there's hostility in the families on both sides. Because people are not happy about the choices that Yah has made. Go ahead, Ak. Anything you want to add before I get ready to take the chart off?
Nah, man, you be on point with it.
Oh, by the way, Lavan is Assyrian. Okay, so listen to this. Our father comes from a family of Assyrians. Okay, listen to this. When think about this. Remember, Abraham said, "Hey, when you go find somebody for my son." Right, Yitzchak, I don't need, and he told Eleazar, his servant, he said, when you go find a mate for my son, I need you to go back to my father's house and go choose a woman. Okay, so he went back, and this is the family that they chose from. All of our ancestors come from this family, from Nahor and Tehar and all those people. Okay, these people over here, including Lavan and Rivkah, are Syrian, which they call Armenians.
Right.
Okay, so this is where we come from. That's why when in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter number 26, when we bring our offerings to the Most High, it's interesting that he says something. I want us to understand that we're really a native. We're a native we're a people from the East. Okay. So that's why we have slanted eyes and we got this red skin and we have these beards and you ladies have that long hair and all that kind of stuff. We're not Africans. We're not at all. Okay. I mean, you know, but here it is. I'm going to do one last thing. I'll let you get back to it. I wanted to show you why I said what I just said. Okay. To let you know that the family is pretty mixed. It's pretty mixed, but he's going to tell you what it is. Yah says, when you guys come to me and you go into this land and you bring your offering to me in chapter number 26 of Deuteronomy, he says this, and I'm just going to go all the way down. You approach. Okay. All right. So he says this, and I'll read it quickly. He says, when you have come to the land that Yahweh your Elohim is giving you as your inheritance, because that's what we're after. We're not after heaven. We're after actual inheritance that we're supposed to get from our fathers, which is Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. And he says, when you take possession of it and you settle there, you are to take the first fruits of all the crops of the ground, yields, which you will harvest from the land that Yahweh your Elohim is giving you. You need to put it in a basket. You need to go take it to the Makom, which is the place Yahweh will choose to have his name live, which we know where that is in Yerushalayim. Then he says, you will approach the Kohen, the priest holding the office at the time, and say to him, today I declare to Yahweh, your Achi'Ka, that I have come to a land that Yahweh swore to our ancestors, okay? That he will give us. The Kohen will take the basket from your hand and he will put it down in front of the altar of Yahweh, your Elohim. And then in the presence of Yahweh, your Elohim, listen what he says. You are to say this, my ancestor was a nomad from Aram. That's what he tells you to say. Aram is Syria, okay? Okay, which is Aram means the Armenians, okay? They use Aram, but it's Assyria. He said he went down into Egypt. And who is he talking about? Who's this nomad? Who's our ancestor? He's talking about Jacob, Yaakov. And he was a nomad from Aram. That's where he's from. Why? Because our father told, Abraham told his servant, go and find him a wife from my people. And guess who he found? He found, let me see, share. I'm gonna do a new share. He found Rivka, which is from his family. This is who he found. And she's from that place. These people right here are where we're from. Rivka is from the house of Bethuel and Lavan, the Syrian. These are Armenians, okay? And these people are from Mesopotamia. Abraham is from Mesopotamia, and his father Terah, he said, leave your land and go to a land and I'll show you. So when they crossed over, okay, when they crossed over, called Avar, when they crossed over to Aleph, the Bet, oh man, forgive my handwriting. Aleph, the Ayin, excuse me, and the Bet, and then the Resh. Okay, right? So remember, I told you for servant, listen to this. For the servant is the Ayin, right? Ovad, and then we got the Ayin, and then we got the Bet, like we hear it, same like we got a Var, because that means to cross, and this is a Dalit, a D, and this one right here is an R, okay? So the only difference between these two words is one is a D and one is a R, okay? This word right here called a Var means to cross over. It means to cross, because that's what Abraham did, right? He crossed over from one region to another region, and that's why he's called, what do they call him when he came over to another region? What's the name that they gave him? They called him a Hebrew. That's what Ivret means, a Hebrew. So Hebrew is not a nationality. Hebrews are people who have crossed over from one place to the next. So when we talk about what Hebrew is, we know that when you talk about someone, I'll put it in English and show you what it is, okay? So for the letter Ayin, they use the letter I. Then for the letter Bet, they call it a V. And the letter R, they call the Resh right here, they call it R. And they ask you, well, what are you? And you could tell those people, I'm Ivret. Ivret means Hebrew. And a Hebrew means one who's crossed over, okay? So there's a couple of applications you can say, I'm the one who's crossed over from life to death, from death to life. I'm the one who's crossed over from a different land, a different region. My fathers are the ones who crossed over. Okay. So that's what Hebrew is. It's Ivret. It's just someone who crossed over. It's not a nationality. Our nationality is Armenian with Mesopotamian. And they were people of color. They're Shemitic. And you can look this up. We're Shemitic people. We're Afro-Asiatic people. That's what you are. You're Afro-Asiatic people. And we can prove that. Okay. Through what? How can I prove that? I'll prove it to you in this way. I hope you didn't mind, Aki.
Do your thing. Do your thing.
Yeah. So okay, let me go here. Get out of here. I just want to show you. So when we talk about, you know, who we are, we really know for sure. Like, we're not going off of just titles. We actually know. Like when you talk about, let me pull it up here. Hebrew. Where's it at? All right. Septuagint, Stuma, words, Aramaic alphabet. Did I put it in here? I got all kind of stuff on the side here. Forgive me, guys. I'm trying to see something here. The Teledit, Hebrew, New Testament, which I get on a lot. Okay. So the quickest way to deal with this is just do this. Okay. I'm gonna click right here, and I'm gonna go right here, and I'm gonna push in. All right here. I'm gonna go Hebrew Bible. All right. Oh no. Hebrew language. Oh, here you go. Biblical. We're going to go biblical Hebrew. Okay. Biblical Hebrew is different. Okay. It is it's a language, and it has to do with where the Israelites come from. Okay. So what they call it is, and it's in the region. It says in archaic form. It's a branch of Semitic language, but I'm looking for where it talks about the that's not it. There's something here that really just lets us know who we are. Hebrew. All right. Push Hebrew in there, and it should tell me. All right. Yeah, I think it's there. Yeah. Okay. Here it is. Perfect. So, and I need to bookmark this for future reference. It says this Hebrew. Perfect. Look what it says. It says, can you guys see my screen? It says right here, like I just told you, Ivret. Ivret. Right there. That's what Hebrew is Ivret. Ivret. Right here. Ivret. Okay. Is the ayin, the bet, and the resh, which is a vir, okay, comes from Ivret. It's a Northwest Semitic language of the Afro-Asiatic language family. So we're not Jewish, we're Afro-Asiatic. It's a group of languages in the Afro-Asiatic, and I'll pull it up right here. You see the region? These are all the areas where the Afro-Asiatic language is spoken. Afro-Asiatic is also known as Afrasian. So, you know, they call people Caucasian, and you call people Asian, because we're from that area. We're from the Afro-Asian, we're Afrasian, okay? We're from that area. So when someone says, oh, well, you're just trying to, you know, act like you're some, no, we're not. No, we're not. And so this language family has around 300 languages, and they're predominantly spoken in the Middle East, North Africa, and the Horn of Africa, and parts from Shaul. And then they said with some exceptions. And then that's where you get your Paleo Hebrew alphabet and all these different types of stuff. Just wanted to show that to you. Okay, so you're literally called Ivret. And this name comes from our ancestor. This name Ivret, Aver, comes from this word, or this, why they spell it E-B-E-R, Eber. And he's one of the descendants of, or forefathers of Abraham, Ever, Okay. Again, you got the I, the V, and then the R. That's where they get it from. And it means to cross over. They get it from Aver. Okay. Ivri. That's where we're from. All right. And they said it's the language of the Israelites and the Judeans and their ancestors. Right. That's what it is. Because we're from that family. Afro-Asiatic people. Afro-Asiatic. All right, here, the last one. It shows you right here. Where is Aram? We're still Shemitic. Remember, I say my father is from Aram. He's from Syria. That's where our family's from. Okay. That's where our family's from this area. All Semitic peoples are over here. So we got people in Lydia. We got the Chaldeans. Wait, oh, there it is. You see Eber? E-B-E-R right here. Eber. Right here. I don't know if you can see it. That's why they call it in Hebrew, but it's Ivri. And we're from this guy called Arpachshad. Arpachshad had Eber, and Eber had Joktan, and Joktan had all these different sons, and you go all the way down to Terah, which then you get to Avram. So our family is directly from this line, the Shemitic line of the sons of Noah. This is, and he's the oldest, by the way. Shem is the oldest. Kam is the second. His name is not Ham. His name is Kam. And it means heat. That's what it means. H-E-A-T, heat. Because the region where he's from, which is in Africa. That's why he's so dark. Okay. And then Japheth, which are the Europeans over here. All these people here were all black. Okay, just some different shade. Some a little darker than others. And I believe from the book of Jasher, it talks about how when Yah separated the earth and its inheritance, after the flood, he gave each one of these sons a different region. And so some were over here. You know, these maps that you see right here are not accurate, by the way. They're not accurate. They're not the original maps. These are maps that they want us to see. Okay, so that's where we're from. Your fathers are they're from the Chaldeans, but we're still Shemitic people, and we're just one little family out of that family that's grown into a numerous amount of family descendants like the stars in heaven, and that fulfills the promise that he made to our father Abraham, because what he did is he left his family. Yes, praise the Holy One of Israel. He left his family and said, "I will do what Yahweh says," and he did. And Yah says, "Everywhere you walk is yours," because I got to get rid of some people. That's why he called him. He called him there to walk there in order to get rid of the people that he knew that he had to get rid of. So you can see a process of time. It's all in timing. So right now, while we're out of our land, the land is laying desolate. Yah says it's laying desolate. Okay. But I'm going to bring you back to the land of your ancestors, and I'm going to put you back there, and then you guys are going to multiply all over again. And as people, the Christians say it's carnal, but the fact of the matter is that's why we were created. We're created beings, you know, to live here and to enjoy the fruit of the land and to behold all the goodness of Yah. So we're the people that he chose to proclaim his goodness. And we're the ones supposed to teach the world, because we're the chief of nations, to teach these people how to proclaim that. And they're going to turn into farmers. And they're going to bring all their goods to us because we're Yah's servant, because that's what avad means. Avad means to serve. So Yah chose us. So we'll never, ever have to work again. Not for anybody. The only work you and I will do is put our hands to the field for our vineyards and our stuff that we say, hey, let's go. Listen, I thought about something today, and I just want to share, and I want you guys to get involved in the conversation. You got to ask yourself, why has Yah created this group of people on the face of the earth to bring forth fruits and vegetables? Look, we're not people that have to go out and make this stuff grow. We don't make stuff grow. All we do is just maintain it, and then we go and chop it down and we harvest it and we bring it to him and we eat it and we digest it, right? I was watching some videos on these animals, and these animals, there's a group of animals and all insects and everything that he's ever created that has life. They have to do something. They have to do something. They go out and look, they gather There's some that gather and there's others that hunt. Okay. There's others that hunt. So you and I were put on this earth not to be served. Listen, we were put on this earth to serve Yah. And as a result of our service and a reward for our service, he gives us the land that brings forth what we need. That's our reward for our righteousness, is when we do what Yah says, then you can eat of the field, you can eat of the land. If you don't do what I say, then you can't do that. So I put the two together and it's like everyone else, everything else has a desire to what you would call it, to hunt and gather. That's what they do. That's the whole purpose. And so what is it that you and I are supposed to hunt? Or what are you and I supposed to gather? You know, we got the idea of manna. We got the idea of all types of things. Well, one thing that stood out in my head, Aki, when you said that you wanted to learn a little bit more about the language, I thought about something. I taught on this. You'll probably see it in my video. It's talking about, and I'll go over all this. When you guys decide that you want to have your class, let me know, and we could go over this Hebrew stuff. One of the words that I wanted to go over with you is this word called tzad, okay, tzad. And it's a word that means a side, or is a man laying on his side. And the meaning in this letter is the side of something as well as hunting, okay? So when you have this word, they actually, it's the same root word that they use for the word zadik, okay? And zadik is a D again here, and then an I, and then a Q, okay? Okay, zadik. And so zadik means righteousness, okay? That's what it means. But the idea of chasing, hunting, and pursuing, of laying down in an ambush, right? And so the modern name for this is tzadi, okay? That TS sound right there that you see has this sound that you would put on the end of a word called like rats. So when you say the word rats, that is the sound of this letter called a tzadi, okay? It looks like this, okay? Has a couple of forms. It has a final form and it has a regular form. But the name of it is called tzadi. And it also means, it has a child root meaning laying on its side. So if that's the root word for righteousness, this is the word that they have for righteousness called zadik. When you look at zadik, okay, this word, and this is your word of the day. When you look at the word zadik, okay, check it out. When you look at this, that's the pay. I'm not talking about the pay. I'll put a whole presentation together I have for everyone. So tzad, this root means to ambush, hunt, or pursue and desire, but it's the root. Every word in the Hebrew language has a root, like the word that we did called ovad or Obadiah. Avad was the root of that word, meaning to serve. So this word here means to ambush and to hunt and to pursue and to chase. So what is Yah asking us? Remember, in the Hebrew language, you have to use all 5 of your senses. So we don't say something is righteous. We actually say something is tzaddik. So when you hear that tzad, you would like, oh, okay, what does that mean? Well, it means for us to hunt. You and I should be hunting and pursuing and chasing after that which is right. And what Yah has given us to be able to hunt, to chase, and to desire is his Torah, which includes his judgments. So you and I are the ones that he chose to be on the earth as gods in Psalms 82, to be these people who are supposed to be about this right here. Because inside of this is all what Yah wants to happen. Inside of it, it teaches people how to live. Inside of it, it takes care of the widow, the fatherless, and the stranger. Inside of the Torah, you get the instructions on how to keep the moedims and all those different things, how to your eating and your diet, and how to deal in marriage, and how to raise your children, and how to deal in business, and how to do with farming, and how to do all these different things. And so that's what righteousness is. Righteousness is the pursuit of that which is the Torah. You know, and we can find that in Deuteronomy chapter number 6, verse number 25. Can you read that for us? I don't want to take the screen down. Can you read that for us in 6:25 of Deuteronomy? Okay.
Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 25.
Uh-huh.
The scripture says, and this shall be our righteousness.
Uh-huh.
If we observe to do all these commandments before Elohim, before Yahweh or Elohim, as he hath commanded us.
Yes. See, so our righteousness is based on not something that just he gives unto us based on nothing, like, you know, how the Christians are, they just believe. Yah's not asking you and I just to believe anything. He's actually asking you and I to pursue him. He's asking us to pursue him. And you said, well, how else can you verify this? Because you need 2 witnesses. He's asking us to hunt and see. If you look at this species, this predator, because that's how it came to my mind today. I want you to look at its posture. I want you to look at its body, and I want you to see that it's laying down somewhere and it has a path of attack. It's on a path. They just don't scramble out there. They actually, what do you see when you see his eyes? What does it look like to you when you look at his eyes? What does he look like? Does he or she, what does it look like? Does it look like they're like second guessing something, or does it look like
it look focused? It look like he's ready to jump back on the back of a deer, or, you know.
Right. Does the eyes look like they're moving from left to right, or do you think it's like it's honed in to what needs to be done?
It's completely one-track mind. It's zoned in.
Yes.
Just ready to pounce at the right moment.
At anything, right? So it's ready to attack. It has a laser focus. It's not moving. It's really about it, okay? Because it's in pursuit of something. So it's not, this animal is not here to play games. They're not here to just run around and jump around and say hi to their friends and go to a family. No, you got work to need to be done. And this is in everything. So I asked Yah, why did you give them this and never gave it to us? He said, no, I did give it to you. I did, but you don't know what to hunt and you don't know what to pursue. And you've been chasing the wrong things. You've been around chasing your tail, and you've been chasing other tail. You haven't been chasing me. In order for these animals to survive, they have to have instinct. And so there's an instinct in us. In order for us to survive, you and I have to adopt these instincts here about Yah's laws and about his judgment, and about his commandments. You see, you have to have a desire for this. If you don't have the desire, you won't put any effort into the pursuit of it. You're not chasing it. You're chasing your other dreams. And this is what Zadik is. Zadik is to go ahead and chase and pursue that which Yah has given. That's what it looks like, you know, when they write it. You know, this is how the Zadik looks. You know, just the regular form. If you just want to not make it fancy, just make it like that, you can. Here's the final Zadik, right? It looks like that, right? So I'm going to teach you guys how to write. I'm going to teach you all those different things. Okay. And Zadik, I'm going to teach you all of them. I'm going to tell you where it comes from. But here's the thing. Remember, here's your second witness. So the word Zadik is righteous. That's what righteous means. And it means we have in better sheep 6, 8, and 9. This is what Yah says. He says, but Noach found grace. He found what? Grace in Yahweh's sight of Yahweh. Why? How did he find grace in Yahweh's sight? Because here is the history of Noach in his generations. It reads this. Noach was a man of righteous. He was a righteous man. He was righteous. And not only was he righteous, he was wholehearted with Yah. He wasn't trying to play games. He was 100 with him. He was wholehearted. Just like he was righteous, he was Zadik, he was a pursuer. He pursued Yah. That's what it is. That's why I got this arrow right here, because that means to hunt. When you're about it, you got to be about it. You have to go ahead and take on a different mindset. The mindset of the Eastern thought is different than the Western thought. In our Western culture, you and I are not pursuing anything except for what they put in front of us. In our life, we have to pursue Yah. We have to pursue him. It's not just going to be given to you and I because we're just his people. He asking you and I to pursue him, just like Noah did. He's asking us to cross over, just like Abraham did. He's asking us to do like our father Yaakov, and to be persistent. And what? He wanted that blessing so long that he wrestled all night long for it and did not let it go until he got what he's supposed to get. He had tenacity, he had willpower, and he knew exactly what he wanted. He was on the hunt. He wanted the blessing. And before he went over to have that fight, who was before him? So we can go back to the study. Who was he afraid of? And who was coming his way before he went over to go get that blessing? His brother Esau. His brother was on the way down the road with 400 men, and he was terrified. And that night he took his wife and his kids and he separated everybody. And he separated his other wives, his other wives from Raquel and Leah. And he went over to the other side of that river, and he crossed over and he went over there and he fought a Moloch all night long until the sun was coming up. Okay. That's a whole nother study. I know who that Moloch is, and I can prove it to you. That Moloch was Michael. That's who it was. He fought with him. He didn't fight with Yah. He fought with that Moloch. Yah has representatives, and Michael's name means who is like Yah. That's who he fought with, the one who is like Yah, which is Michael, which is our prince. He's a prince of Israel. He's our prince. And you can find that in the book of Daniel, chapter number 12. We can go over that later. I got that for you. But what I'm saying, so what I'm saying is he was afraid, and Yah tells Yaakov all the time, don't be afraid, because I'm with you. And so that night he prevailed with Yah, and he overcame his fear, and then he was able to face his brother. And so right now, that's what you and I are in the process of doing. We're in a process of being afraid about what these people plan on doing to us, jabbing us, stabbing us, taking our jobs, mandating all kind of stuff. They're about to pull they're going to pull some stuff on us. You hear what I'm saying? But you and I, Yah tells us don't be afraid because I'm with you. You and I will, once we come over and we pursue Yah the way that our ancestors did, then that's when you and I will become Yisrael. When you and I go on the hunt for that which is right, and be okay with Yah killing people. Be okay with him saying, guess what? These people didn't do what I say. Get on this side, open the earth and swallow them. You and I should be okay with that. You and I should be okay with being eyewitnesses against people who will claim to worship another God and go tell on them and come together and make a report and say, these people are over here doing it. Yah's looking for people who are in the community to tell on people. That's why he gave us eyes to be witnesses. It's not being a snitch. It's called protecting your community. That's what Yah's called us to do as Israel. So because we failed to protect our own community, Yah has now allowed other people to come in and destroy us. And it's not until we come back to pursue Yah and his righteousness that he will bring us back to reconcile us back to him, to be the gods that we're supposed to be. You and I are Elohim. We're not regular human beings. I just want to let you know that. And this is another reason why you should know that you're not a regular human being. It's simply because Yah fed us with the bread that came down from heaven. He calls it angel food. He said, I fed you with the bread that only angels were eating at that time. It's in the book of Psalms. I think it's in 72, but here's the bottom line. In Psalms number 82, let's look at what Yah says. That's Jeremiah. Let's look at what he says about you and I. We're gods. But gods in Hebrew called Elohim mean they're masters. That's who we are. But we haven't behaved like masters. And because we haven't done it, there's a lot of stuff that's been going on in the world, and it's our fault. Okay. A Psalm of Asaph, he says, Elohim stands in the divine assembly, right? And it says there with Elohim. Look, this is where Elohim is standing. Our power is standing there, where? With Elohim. Judges. He judges. That's what he does, because this is what everything is about. It's about Yah's judgment. He asked the question, how long will you go on judging unfairly or in favoring the wicked? That's the question for you and I. How long? Mati, how long will you go along with the get along and just be about what they're about? Why are you on the side of the wicked? And who's the wicked? He tells us who the wicked are. The wicked are even those who have Yah's laws on their lips and proclaim his laws, but they don't do what he says. They fling his words behind their back. He says this, I want you to do something, because this is what an Elohim is supposed to do. A judge is supposed to do this. A leader is supposed to give justice to the weak. That's what you and I are supposed to do. But if we're not doing that, if are judging unfairly because we care about what people's face look like and we're taking bribes, he says, look, you guys need to give justice to the weak and the fatherless. He's talking to Israel. That's part of the judgment of Yah. If you don't take care of the widow and the fatherless, and they cry out to me, I'm going to kill you. Straight up. Uphold the rights of the wretched and the poor. Because a poor person has their hands out, and if you can't put anything in their hand, then why are you living where you're living? Because I gave you the land to bring forth substance so you could give to the poor. That's why I put you there, so you can put something in their hand.
And that don't matter. It's a lot. I don't mean to cut you off. That doesn't mean just to your own people. Supposed to be like all nations. I don't care.
Stranger,
white, black,
the foreigner,
stranger, exactly.
Yes, the stranger and the foreigner. He says, because you were strangers and you were foreigners. So how is it that you guys have now been blessed and now you treat everybody like they're nothing? No, that's something's wrong. He told us as the Elohim to rescue the destitute and the needy. If your brother is poor, you're supposed to go ahead and put clothes on his back. You're supposed to feed him, especially when we're in our land, because you have all the resources you need. He says you deliver them from the power of the wicked. The wicked are the people who don't do anything for the poor. The wicked are the one who denies people their justice because they're poor and they're weak and they can't go to court. They don't have thousands of dollars to fight them in court. That's the reason why. He says they don't know. They don't know. They don't understand. They wander about in darkness. Meanwhile, all the foundations of the earth are being undermined. This is very telling of what's going on. You're going to ask yourself, well, why is the earth going to shake when Yah comes? It's because the foundations of the earth are undermined. The foundations of the earth was established upon justice and righteousness. When Yah weighed everything out, he weighed it out in a balance. And when he talks about weighing it out in a balance, he has a scale. And on the scales are these scales. And if one tilts out of line for the other one, then things get out of balance. This is the scales of justice. And they got a woman with a piece of cloth for eyes and say it's blind, meaning that, and for our case, they have been blind to justice. What it means is that you don't supposed to have your eyes looking at nobody. You're supposed to be able to judge them fairly without looking if they're poor, looking if they're rich, you're not supposed to take a bribe, because Yah says when you do these things, it blinds the eyes of the righteous. A bribe, and it twists the words of the upright when we take a bribe. Don't care about what their face looks like, because if you look at their face, oh, they're poor. Oh, the poor guy. No, that poor guy might have broke the laws of Yah. But the foundations of the world and the earth is founded upon justice. So when Yah took it out and he weighed everything out, it's based on righteousness and judgment. That's why there's coming a time where these scales will get tipped out of the balance. This one is going to go up, okay? And this one is going to go down. You understand? And once these get out of balance, then that's when the problem's going to come. That's when the earth is going to shake, because she cannot handle this. The reason why we got kicked out of our land is because all the innocent blood that was shed and all the bribery and all the stuff that the Kohanim were doing. They were teaching for a price. It's right there in Jeremiah. They abandoned the Torah. So when things get out of balance, and we can look at this in our life, look at it this way, okay? And I'm gonna put up a screen here in a second, but let me read this for you before I go. He says, my decree is this, okay? I've already told you, you are Elohim, you're powerful ones. Okay, they got gods here, which means really judges. That's what you are. You're the sons of the Most High, all of you. Yes, nevertheless, you will die. You're going to die like a mortal, even though you're my sons and my daughters. You're going to die, and that's okay. Like a prince who will fall. All of the princes and the kings and everyone has fallen. Abraham fell. Moshe fell. Everybody has died like a mortal. If I'm telling you a God, I'm allowing you to live within the mortality so you can achieve the goals that I need to be achieved on that earth. Rise up, Elohim, and judge the earth, for all the nations are yours, because that's what it is. But he's asking us to, when are you going to do your job? When are you and I going to do our job? Our job is to execute righteousness and justice on the earth. As I stated to you, you have a scale here. Okay. And on it, you got these scales. When Yah puts everything in motion, everything has to be balanced across the line. It has to weigh out. So over here, you got sin. Over here, you got righteousness. Okay. That's what you have, that which is right, righteousness. Okay. Yah says, in the event that you guys are the guys that I called you to be, you're not doing your job, righteousness, listen, is light, meaning it's going up. It's going up. When the scales are going up here, I know something's wrong. When this one here is loaded down with sin, it goes down. It brings everything out of balance. So now instead of it being straight like this, now it's inverted like this. When this line reaches its final point up here, I give everybody a certain amount of time. If you notice, when I went into Nineveh, I told everybody, you got 40 days and I'm killing everybody. He didn't go there and tell them to, hey, if you repent. He never mentioned the word repent or shuv or turn from your sins or nothing. He just told them, you got 40 days. And I'm judging you. So when they found that out, guess what they did? They said, hell no. They said, what we need to do is get everything back in balance. So what we gonna do now is, okay, we gonna start adding righteousness and humility to this scale and make this one come back up. We're gonna increase this. We're gonna fast and pray, and we're gonna put some sackcloth on. Yah says, guess what? I like that. Oh, I like that. And they prayed. Okay. And what else did they do? They humbled themselves and they put ashes on themselves. Not only did they fast and pray, but they made the animals fast and pray. Y'all didn't ask them to do that. All they heard was a message is you got 40 days. That's all you got. You got 40 because your limit is 40 days. You got up to this point and that's it. So why am I saying this? Because there is a limit. Like Yah said in the book of Genesis, he says, I'm going to let this happen until the iniquity of the Amorites come to full. I'll allow you guys to be this for 400 years. I'm going to allow 70 years. I'm going to allow 40 days of this. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. You see? Yes, praise the Holy One. So when we add, you guys, the reason why we were sent here, okay, is to make things go back to balance. So I'm going to show you it. Okay. Let me show you how Yah says, I'm going to bring you back in balance. Let me just show you, because this is how he does it. So you and I don't get confused. That is all about what's in the balance and judgment. Judgment has to do with scales, the scales of justice. Because our Elohim is a just Elohim. Everything is founded on justice and righteousness. If you and I haven't figured that out, then we're in a lot of trouble. Okay. So in 26, he says this. Look at what he says. 26, he said, I'm whooping everybody's ass, period. Forgive me. I'm whooping everybody. Everybody's getting beat. I'm beating everybody 7 times over. If you guys don't do what I say, I'm beating you. Okay.
Right.
Then he says, oh, I'm going to discipline you. That's look, he's saying it. He's saying, I will discipline you. I'm going to break your pride. I'm going to bust you until you get it. I'm going to whoop you. I'm going to beat you. That's what, remember the he who spares the son from discipline of striking him? He has told us in the book of Isaiah, I'm going to strike you. Where else do I need to strike you for you to get it? You understand? So I'm going to go against you. Okay. I'm going to do that. I'm going to break your pride because you need to be broken because you're stiff-necked. Anyway, he says, if you refuse my correction, getting whooped. Okay. And he does that by putting a rod in his hand and using another nation to come in and whoop our behind. Then he said, I'm going to strike you another 7 times. You and I are getting striked all over the place. Whap, 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 whap. Then I'm going to bring the sword against you. And then I'll execute vengeance on you. The vengeance of what? The covenant. Not the Torah, the covenant. Because the 10 words that I gave you is the covenant. This is what you and I are in agreement with. The Torah is for you to follow in order for you to live in the land. I didn't send you out because you guys, you broke the Torah. You didn't use the Torah to keep you in the land. The Torah keeps you in the land. Okay. The covenant allows me to be your Elohim and give you a right to the land because I swore to your ancestors. You need to understand the difference between the two. And if you really make me mad, I'm cutting off your bread supply.
It's that serious though, man.
I'm going to kill you. Okay.
It's that serious.
Yeah. Hey, and for all this, if you still don't listen to me, look, I'm going to go against you. 28, I'm going to go against you. And what else am I going to do? I'm going to whoop your behind. For what? How many more times? 7 times more. I'm going to whoop your behind. And guess what you go do?
The angel bread?
Yeah. You go eat. I'm going to whoop your behind. No, that ain't the angel bread. I'm cutting off the food supply. That's how I deal with people. There's the four sword great judgments of God. You can find this in Ezekiel chapter number 14. There's 4 of them. And he says, these are the ones that I use to get my point over, which is famine, the sword, a plague, and pestilence. These are the 4, my favorite 4 that I use to get my point over. Okay. So now I'm going to do this. I'm going to cut off your bread supply. And now that you don't have any food, okay, you have nothing to eat. You're going to eat your own sons and your daughters. That's the Elohim that you and I serve. So let's get used to it. You go eat the flesh of your sons and your daughters. When you have nothing else to eat, that's what you go eat. Yeah, that's what I'll do to you. And a lot of people don't like that, but guess what? That's what it is. He said, if you don't like me, go somewhere else. Go choose the God of the New Testament. But if you mess around with me, I'll cut your food supply off and starve you to death and kill every last one of you. Because I'm tired of the disrespect to my righteousness. I told you to feed the fatherless and the widow. I told you to don't harvest the fields and let them, don't over glean them, leave it alone so the animals can eat and so the people can eat. But you are so greedy, okay? And you don't listen that you went ahead and you did what you want to do. I told you to let the land have its Shabbats, but you won't do that because I got to keep whooping you and whooping you and whooping you. So therefore, I'm going to lay waste to your cities and make your sanctuaries desolate. And you're not going to smell any fragrant aromas. I'm going to desolate the land so that your enemies living in it will be astounded by it.
Bring it out.
I will disperse you among the nations, and I will draw out the sword in pursuit after you. I'm not just going to send you out. I'm actually going to send the sword out. Why? Because I need vengeance on the covenant. The covenant got to be avenged. So I'm going to send the sword. After I send you out and disperse you, I'm sending the sword after you. That's why you're hung in trees. That's why they're killing you in the streets, because that's my sword. Your land will be desolate and your cities will be a wasteland. You better believe it. Then at last, the land will be paid. And the Hebrew is called repaid. She's going to get her Shabbats that you didn't give to her. As long as it lays desolate while you are in the lands of your enemies, the land will rest and be repaid her Shabbats. Her land, the land is a female because she's supposed to bring forth. You put seed in her, she produces it, and it comes out of her. You understand? You got to give her rest, and you have to do it every 6 years. And then if you don't do it, she doesn't get her Shabbats. And every 49 years, you're supposed to let her rest. But we weren't doing that. He said, yes, as long as it lays desolately without you, right, it will have rest. The rest it did not have during your Shabbats when you lived there. That's why we're here. That's why you and I don't have any the food that we're supposed to have. As for those of you who are left, okay, that after I kill with the sword, I will fill their hearts with anxiety. That's why we're a lot of us on anxiety medication, standing in the streets, lost our damn minds, because Yah says, I'm going to fill their minds. That's your heart with anxiety in the lands of your enemies. That's part of it, because you don't know what's going to happen to you. Even the sound of a driven leaf will frighten them. They will flee as one who flees the sword, and they will fall when no one's pursuing, no one's chasing you. Why? Because now you didn't want to pursue what I told you, so I'm going to put some fear on you. So every time you turn around, you feel like you're being pursued. Yes, no one will be pursuing, okay? They will stumble over each other as they're fleeing from the sword. You will have no power. You will have absolutely zippo power to stand before your enemies. So this whole idea that we have the power and the strength and he's with us is a damn lie, okay? And meaning continuing, among the nations you will perish. Yeah, the land of your enemies will devour you. Yes, economically, financially, emotionally, physically. Those of you who remain will pine away in the lands of your enemies from the guilt over your misdeeds and those of your ancestors. Then, after all that happens, verse 40, then they will confess their misdeeds. Then, and those of their ancestors which they committed against me in their rebellion, they will admit. Okay, so you have to do a couple of different things while you're here. You have to confess the deeds of your ancestors, okay, those of your ancestors and yourself. You got to confess that, and you have to admit that you're going against me. If you don't do that, you're done. And at that time, I will be going against them. When they're in the land of their enemies, and I will bring them into the land of their enemies. However, but, it's always a but, if their uncircumcised heart grows humble and they are paid for the punishment for their misdeeds, there you go. That is what? That is the judgment. That is the judgment of Yah. Once I find out that the Shabbats have been paid, her Shabbats, and you get paid, you're paid for your punishment. I put you in a land where you don't get any rest because I need to give her her rest. So on one side is her, which is the land. She didn't get her Shabbats. And the other side is you. So look at the balance. I put you out so she could get her rest, and you guys are here. You're on the other side. So when you're gone, okay, check it out. You didn't give her what I told you. So what happened is you went ahead and you elevated yourself. Okay. You elevated yourself. You weighed yourself down with crimes and sins. So you went down and she went up. It came to a certain mark where I said, that's enough. It's time for me to put them out the land, because she was going up and you guys are going down. You guys are putting crimes. You're being weighed down by your sins. So now I got to bring everything back into balance. So I got to put you out of the land so I can pay back. Listen to the words paid. Anytime there's a transaction in Hebrew, it was weighed out on a scale with silver or gold or grain. So Yah uses a scale to measure out what if something's balanced. If I give you this amount of stuff, this is how much money I want you to give me. You understand? So it's everything based on balance. Okay. So then after they're paid back, after we're paid back, that means the scales between the land about her Shabbats, when we get paid, see, we're getting paid. That's us. We're getting paid and she's getting paid. Where's she at? I got to find her again. She's getting repaid and you and I are getting paid. That means Yah put us on a scale. He says, then I will remember my covenant. When what? When we're paid our punishment. So that's why you're here. You're here to be paid. Okay. So it's not going to be nice and easy. It's not going to be, oh, well, now that we know and we follow the Torah and we try to keep the Shabbats and we try to do everything he's asking us. He's not saying that ain't nothing stopped. The sword ain't stopped. Our people are still being killed. The story is, it's not going to stop until it comes to a certain time. So in life, if you notice, there's a time, there's a beginning, and there's an end. There's a beginning of something and there's an end of something. Okay. So here's the beginning. Yah sent us here, and here's our end right here. Once we're done, we're done. It's a time. It's based on time. Once we get done, Yah then reverses and sends us back to our beginning. Your end will be better. Your end is literally your beginning. And I'll give you an example. Okay. In the Hebrew, in the divisions of the scroll, Yah has it where you'll do a certain teaching and then he'll end it. At the end of a teaching, he'll give you a beginning of another teaching. It doesn't mean that it stops. It means that at the end of anything, there's a beginning somewhere else. Okay. So we have to go through this process. If you and I do not go through this process, right, and we fail to understand why we were here, because that's what a lot of people do. We fail to understand that Yah wants to remember. He's only going to remember the time. He says, and then I will remember. When? Not when our punishment is paid. When we're paid, that's when Yah will remember. He'll say, oh, their time is up. He has books. He knows where everything's at. He knows everything, how everything is set up. He knows how long you're going to be there and everything. So he says, once they're paid for their punishment, for their misdeeds, then. So the punishment has to happen. Then I will remember my covenant with Yaakov, and also my covenant with Yitzchak, and my covenant with Abraham. Covenant here is talking about a berith, and a berith is a contract. Okay. It's a contract, and it's a bet. Barith. Okay. A barith. Okay. And a barith is a contract. Okay. And it's spelled ba or be and then rith. Okay. Bedrith. And a bedrith is a contract. Okay. And in this contract, it's connected to something. Okay. It's connected to what they call a bar. Okay. And the bar is grain. Okay. That's what it is. It's grain. I think I should show you that in Hebrew right quick. All right. Remind me to. I'm going to show it to you. But with a contract, a covenant has to do with something. Okay. It's an agreement. But our agreement is not abstract. Our agreement has to do with the land. It has to do with a bar. It has to do with a grain. Okay. And I'm going to show that to you. It has to do with grain. And I'm going to finish this out and then we'll go there and I'll show you what it means. So for the land, okay, because that's what the contract's with, right? With these individuals here, there's a contract that was made with them. And the contract has to do with the covenant. Okay. The covenant is a contract. It is to have to do with something. And what it has to do with is the land. The land is what I promised your father, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. That's what I promised him. I promised Yaakov the same thing. And your father made a promise to me. He said, if you take care of me after he finished wrestling, prior to his wrestling session with me, he said, if you give me, you take care of me, whatever I make and whatever I give, I'll give you a tenth. I'll give you a tithe of everything you give me if you take care of me and my family. That's what he said. Yeah, I didn't ask for the tenth. He's the one who volunteered it. So if you want to be mad about when we were in the land to give y'all a tenth, he says, you guys are the one. Your father told me he made a covenant with me and told me he'll give that to me. So I keep my end of the deal. You guys need to keep yours, right? So now the land that I've given to your ancestor, I told your father Abraham, if you follow me, I'll give you everywhere that you put your foot is yours. It's your land. I'll give it to you, you and your descendants forever. But not only that, but I'll be your God. I'll protect you. So you don't have to be afraid. So he says, for the land will lay desolate, or abandoned without them, and it will be paid. It's Shabbats while it lays desolate without them. So we can't be there right now. So in hindsight, we have to understand that the land has to be paid. And the land, as you and I are getting paid, the land is being repaid. But check this out. You and I cannot go back until the land is paid. The land has to be paid. If she's not paid, you and I don't get to we got to get paid. So while she's getting repaid, her rest, you and I are under extreme pressure.
And that only makes sense with that scripture. You know what I'm saying? I know everybody hear me say it almost every Bible study class. Judgment go out every single morning.
Every morning.
And so I want to read the scripture before you continue.
No, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Numbers 35, verse 33. You already know where I'm going.
I know what you're talking about. Go ahead.
So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood defileth the land.
Yes.
The land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. Defile not therefore the land which ye shall inhabit, wherein I dwell, for I, Yahweh, dwell among the children of Israel.
Right, because it's his land. It's not our land, it's his land. It's the land that he promised. He said, if you live, I live with you. So he lives with us. And he said, if you shed innocent blood in this land, okay, I got to kill the people who shed it, because that's my judgment on that. I can't go back on my word on that. When your fathers were here, they killed the innocent. And I told you, I'm not justifying anybody who kills the innocent. I'm not going to acquit anybody who sheds innocent blood. You go right there to 2 Kings chapter number 24. He tells us that Yahweh was unwilling to forgive those who shed innocent blood. A person that sheds the blood is the person whose blood needs to be shed. So whoever killed this so-called character in the New Testament, their blood has to be shed in order for that to be made right. Otherwise, the land is defiled. But Yah's telling us right here that I got to pay the land back at Shabbat, the time that you didn't give it any rest. Right? Yet, in spite of all that, why? Because what? You guys need to be paid. What? Punishment for what? Your misdeeds, because you rejected my rulings, which are my mishpatim, which is my judgments, and you loathe my regulations. The way I told you to do it, you didn't want to do it that way. Yet, in spite of all that, I will not reject them. When they're in the lands of their enemies, we need to say hallelujah, Wah, for that, nor will I loathe them to the point of utterly destroying them and thus break my covenant. Because if I hate you and I'm mad at you like you were with me, I would end up destroying you. I'm not going to destroy you because I would destroy you. But if I did destroy you, I would thus break my covenant with them because I am Yahweh, your Elohim. Part of the covenant of the 10 words is the number one, that I am Yahweh, your Elohim, who brought you out from the midst of Mizraim, from the house of bondage. You cannot forget this. Rather, for their sakes, for whose sakes? I will remember the covenant. Who's their sake? That there is the people that have been in the lands of their enemies. I will remember the covenant of their ancestors. I will remember the covenant of their ancestors whom I brought out of the land of Mizraim with all the nations watching, so that they might what? That I might be their Elohim. That's the reason why I brought them out. I didn't bring you out just because I didn't want you to be a slave. I wanted you to be my servant. And because of that, I brought you out to be your Elohim. So don't turn your back on me, because that's what I'm telling you. I haven't turned my back on you. I'm going to remember this. And the covenant I'm talking about is the 10 words that I gave you in Exodus chapter number 20 and in chapter number 5 of Deuteronomy, chapter number 5. So you can remember that you're a slave, that you're my slave. Now, these are the rulings and the teachings that Yahweh himself gave to the people of Israel on Mount Sinai through Moshe. They're not Moshe's words. They're not Moshe's teachings. They're not Moshe's regulations. They're Yah's. And so anyone who rejects these words of Moshe that he wrote out for on Yah's behalf, Yah says they're going to have to give an answer to me. You're going to have to answer. So I brought you there to show you that all this has to do with the covenant. It has to do us being Yah's people. And if you and I get this, if the scales get tipped out of balance, then we are doomed. You understand? Yah has to make everything right. And it's always going to be on justice. It's always going to be judgment. Every day is judgment. Everything that you and I do are being recorded as we speak, because Yah has to bring us into judgment. So if we're going to be wholehearted with him, he says, be wholehearted with me. There's some questions there. Let me see. Where does, what was saying, right? Where does the saying, I will cease to exist if I tell a lie? Where you would cease to exist to tell a lie? I don't know exactly where that in particular instruction is.
That's a commandment.
Yeah, well, it is. Well, what I was going to say is more specifically, because in the Torah, in the covenant. Now, here's the thing I want to also share with you. In the 10 words, okay, when he speaks these 10 words, which is the covenant, okay, when he speaks these 10 words to us, you want to ask yourself this question, and this is what everybody gets lost. This is where you get lost in the sauce, because our people don't know. We've been taught religion by other people. We don't want to be taught religion. This is like a real relationship between us and this Elohim. He tells us this, and this is the first time he mentions it, and he says in 20, these are the 10 words. And by the way, we were supposed to go up there and go get the words, but we didn't. Listen what he says. He didn't say these are the commandments. He said these are the words. Then he goes on and he tells us what it is. He says, I brought you out of the land of Egypt, a boat of slavery. You have no other gods before me. You're not to make yourselves any carved images. No representation in heaven and earth beneath, or the water below, and all so forth and so forth and so on, so on, so on, so on, so on. Not that it's not important. It's just a lot of reading. But let me ask you something. He told them everything to do, but guess what he didn't tell them? Guess what he did not mention? He never mentioned to them the judgments for doing those things. He never tells them, if you worship, listen to this, in those 10 words, he doesn't say, if you worship another God, I'm going to kill you. He doesn't say that. He doesn't tell us in the 10 words that those are the only words that they heard before they had Moshe teaching, by the way. He never tells them, if you commit adultery, I'm going to kill you. He doesn't say how is adultery found out or who the witnesses are. He never gives you the instructions. That's where the Torah comes into play. The Torah is consistent of the judgments and the rulings and the ordinances. He never explains, if you do this, then this is going to happen. So do you remember they said, hey, send us back to our tents. We don't want to hear Yah speak anymore. And Yah said, yeah, what you said is a good thing. The reason why it was good, folks, is simply because if they would have heard Yah speak, everything he told Moshe through the Torah, they would have had to hear it. And if they would have heard that if you had made this God, I would kill you, then Yah would have wiped Israel completely off the face of the earth. And he was going to, but he didn't. Why? Because they didn't hear the judgment.
Ain't that what Exodus 21, chapter 21, 22 is about?
Judgment, Exodus 21 and 22 and 23 and 24 are all the judgments of Yah.
Right.
Yes, but remember what he said. I love what you just said. Remember what he said? Check this out. I'll go back there. I'm glad you said it. Because in 21, we thought, oh, he continued to talk to us. No, he didn't. Look what he says after verse number 18. He tells them in 17, don't covet, and boom, and then everything stopped. Everything stopped. Everything stopped. All the Yah speaking stopped. And all the people experienced thunder, lightning, and the sound of the shofar, because that's what we were talking about. And the mountain was smoking. And then when the people saw it, they trembled. They were like, ah! And so they were standing at a distance. And they said to Moshe, you speak with us, and we will listen. But don't let Elohim speak with us, or we will what? We'll die. So Moshe told the people, he answered them, don't be afraid. Why? Because Yahweh has come only to test you and to make you fear him so that you won't commit sins. That's why he came this way.
Right.
So you can be afraid. So he'll let you know, don't play with me. Right. So you'll be like, damn, look, don't mess with him. So the people stood at a distance, but Moshe approached the thick darkness where Yahweh was. And then at the end, it says, Yahweh said to Moshe, here is what you are to say to people of Israel. They had went back to their tents. They went back to their tents. They didn't stay there. They didn't hear that. They ran back to the tent. They didn't hear Yah's rulings. He said, this is what you to say to the people of Israel. They didn't hear that. They left. And here's confirmation of that. 5 in Deuteronomy says, he gives the 10 words again. Check it out. Here it is. Moshe called of Israel and said to them, listen, Israel, hear the laws and the rulings, which I'm announcing today in your hearing, so that you will learn to take care and obey them. Boom. Then he says, Yahweh, our Elohim, made a covenant with us at Koreb. Boom. Then he says he didn't make this with our fathers only, right? With our fathers, but with us, all of us who are here alive today. And he says, Yahweh spoke with you face to face from the fire of the mountain. And at that time, I stood between you, Yahweh, and you in order to tell you what Yahweh was saying. I stood in between you because on the count of the fire, you were afraid and wouldn't go up on the mountain. And he said, and then he tells them in 10 words, verse number 6, all the way down. And he recites what Yah told him, because this is what they call Deuteronomy. Davarim, meaning the giving of the second. They call it the second law. It's not. He's just repeating what Yah has said.
Right.
And then he says this. You see, it's just a repeating. Then he says this. When you heard the voice coming out of the heavens and the mountain, blaze of fire, you came to me, the heads of your tribes and your leaders. You said, here Yahweh Elohim has shown us his glory and his greatness. We have heard the voice coming out from the fire. And we've seen that today the Yahweh does speak with human beings and they stay alive. But why should we keep risking death? This great fire will consume us if we hear the voice of Yahweh Elohim anymore. We will die. They were scared. And he says, for who is there among all humanity has heard the voice of Yahweh Elohim living and speaking out of the fire as we have been stayed alive? You go near and hear everything Yahweh Elohim says. And then you come and you tell us everything Yahweh our Elohim says to you, and we will listen and we'll do it. And then Yahweh heard what you were saying when you spoke to me. And Yahweh said this to me. I've heard what these people have said, right? When you were speaking to you, and everything they said is good. It's tov. Oh, but he didn't say, oh, and look what these translators put. Oh, how I wish their hearts would stay like this always. That is a lie. In Hebrew, it doesn't say that. It says me, who. It doesn't say, oh, how. He says, who would give their heart to me to fear me? Who? That's the question he asked. Who?
Bring it out,
You understand? It's not, oh, I wish. Who would give their heart to fear me? And the answer to that is the people who are willing to stand and hear the words of Yahweh are the ones who are willing to fear him.
That's right.
They weren't fearing him by just being afraid, running to the tent. That's not the fear that Yah's looking for. The beginning of the fear of Yahweh is to what? Knowledge. The beginning of knowledge is to fear Yahweh. So if you and I really, really, really are afraid of Yah, then you would sit your behind down and listen to what he has to say. I'm talking to all of us, not just you guys. I'm talking to me too. We will sit down and listen to what he says. That's the one who fears Yah. The one who's willing to endure it is the one who's willing to listen to the instructions of Yah. They heard the 10 words, but they didn't hear the mishpatims, the judgments. They didn't hear the rulings. They didn't hear the statutes. They didn't hear the moedims. They didn't hear none of the rulings that Yah said. So that's why they chose Moshe to go, so he would teach them the laws, the statutes, and the commandments. They didn't hear the laws, the statutes, and commandments from Yah. They heard it from Moshe.
Right.
Yah's asking, who would fear me? Who? Who would give their heart to fear me and obey my commandments so that it'll go well with them and their children forever? Which one of these people? And the answer to that is everybody who's online today. You're sitting at his feet and you're asking him. So guess what he told them? He said, go, tell them to return to their tents, but you stand here by me and I will tell you all of the commandments, all my commandments, mitzvot, the laws and the rulings, which you are to teach them so they can obey them in the land. So what you and I are doing right now is we're preparing to go to the land. You cannot have these laws, statutes, and commandments and for no reason. You're only doing it so you could go back home. I'm giving them as their possession. It's an inheritance. You understand? And you and I are to be careful to do as Yahweh Elohim has commanded us in order not to deviate from the left or to the right. You need to follow the entire way, the path which Yahweh has ordered you. Why? So that it will go well with you and your children. You understand? You will live and it will go well with you and you will live long in the land. You can't be in the land without keeping the commandments. Period. So what is the Torah? The Torah is the instructions. How he feels. These are the decisions that I made. You commit adultery doing this way, it has to be, okay, well, how did they do it? Oh, the woman was, she was married. Okay, both of them died. Well, how's the other one? Oh, he raped her out in the field. Oh, she was in the field? Oh, okay, did she scream? No one can hear her. Guess what? He dies only. Okay, was she betrothed to anybody? Yep, you die. Oh, she wasn't betrothed, but she got raped. Okay, well, he got to go marry her and pay the father 50 pieces of silver. Okay, they were married, but he said she wasn't a virgin. Oh, we found out that she was. Okay, she was a virgin? Yo, you got to pay the father 100 pieces of silver for opening your mouth and you can never divorce her. Okay, you didn't find anything to verify and authenticate that virginity? Oh, okay, we didn't find that. Okay, well, so she wasn't a virgin. So she lied, so she was playing a whore. Okay, we'll bring her to the house of the door and kill her. You understand?
Yeah.
These are the things that wasn't mentioned in the covenant. So when Yah says that I gave them the covenant, I gave them the 10 words. So when Yah is talking to us in the land of our enemies, he says, I need you to remember what I told you while you're in the land of your enemies, because Yah had asked us to turn and to do everything I asked you to do. Now, can I go kill somebody that does something that I'm supposed to do? No. So he's not asking me to remember that. He's asking me, I can't execute that judgment. He says, that's what I'm for. I'm the judge of all the earth. Whatever anyone does, I got the record. You're not in capacity to be a judge because you're a slave right now. You're under oppression. Okay. So what you need to do is you need to tell my people what's the covenant. Number one, there is no other Elohim but me. Number two, don't you bring any other Elohim before my face. You do that, I'm killing you. Because I already told you what the rulings are. I'm killing you. Okay. Don't you misuse my name. They say use it in vain. No, it goes deeper. He says, don't you ever misrepresent who I am. If you going around telling people that I'm a man, I'm killing you. If you go around telling people I'm going to forgive them for breaking the Shabbat, I'm killing you. You told people something that I did not say, I'm killing you. That's what it is. I'm not acquitting you. You can read that right in the covenant. It tells you. Okay. He does say, I'm not acquitting you. He doesn't tell him to kill you. He says, I'm not acquitting you. I am judging you. And the judgment for that is death. That's in the Mishpatims. That's in the Torah. Okay. So that's the difference between the covenant and the rulings, the moedims, which are called the appointed times. The moedims are called appointed times when we're supposed to go and meet Yah bring the offerings for Sukkot, bring offerings for the Rosh Kodesh, bring offerings for the Shabbat, bring our tithes and our offerings to take care of the priests, all that kind of stuff. We don't have a land. So right now we're not in capacity. We can't do that. But the things that we can do, you and I should show our respect for Yah's laws and his Torah and his commandments. Because why? Because the laws are a lamp and the Torah is the light of that lamp. So if you and I are going to do anything, if we want to see what it is about our lives that need to be changed, then we need to follow the Torah. The Torah instructs us how to eat. We can do that. Tells us that. Can we remember the Shabbat? Yes, we can. Can you remember the Pesach? We can memorize. We can remember it. He wants you to remember what he did for Israel. He wants you to remember that he took the lives of the firstborn. He wants you to remember that he delivered you from what? Slavery. Because you're in slavery now. That means he'll do it again. I'm your Elohim from Mitzrayim. If you forget that, you're going to forget me. And if you forget me, then you're going to serve some other God and he's not going to save you. You're going to be calling on the wrong one. And I'm going to have to kill you because I told you that I'm your savior. I'm the one who's in contract with your fathers that I promised them. So I need you to remember that. Number 4, I need you to keep the Shabbat. I want you to remember that. I want you to remember it. I want you to remember that your parents are to be honored, to hold the words that they say in high esteem. Are they keeping the Torah? Right? No, but how can you honor them? Well, make sure, your mother gets sick. You got to go take care of her. Don't say, I can't go take care of you because you don't follow the Torah. That's still your mother. You got to say, follow your mother based upon what you believe is right. He says, honor, kavod, what they've done for you, measure for measure. Did they take care of your behind? Yes, they did. I'm talking to all of us. You got to take care of them. Okay. You got to take care of them. That's what it is. 5. That's what that is. Honor your father and mother, kavod. Show that honor to that, because if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't be here. So Yah gave you an opportunity through your ancestors to be here to receive this Torah. So even just based on that alone, by you coming through your parents, you should honor them. Through you, I was able to come here to get the Torah. So just for that reason alone, I thank you. What do you need? You need some flowers? You need some groceries? What do you need? You need to be happy about it, okay? 6, don't you ever commit murder. You take somebody's life, I'm not letting that go. Because you shed any blood. The blood of the person who shed the blood is the person who got to leave. They got to leave. Okay. 7, no adultery. You're not going to mess up anybody else's relationship. Number 8, I don't want you I don't want you stealing anything. Anything I gave to somebody is theirs. You don't need to steal it. Just ask me for it. Number 9, I don't need you lying and bearing no false witness against somebody. Number 10, I don't need you looking at anybody's wife, their house, their car, their job, nothing, their clothes, nothing they got. I don't want you looking at it. Don't you set your eyes upon another man's wife and say, oh, you look really nice today. That's what, if you really look at the Hebrew, it says you don't supposed to set your eyes upon their house. You don't supposed to even compliment anybody about what they got. I used to be bad with that. I used to compliment women all the time. Oh, I like your hair. Oh, I like that. You look real nice. No. That's somebody else's wife. You understand? You don't supposed to
say that again.
You do not cross that line.
Has that bad.
You do not set your eyes. Yah says that you are not to look upon another man's wife and even give her a compliment, because as soon as you give her attention, and I'm going to tell you the reason why. Yah has said the reason why he doesn't want us to do this. Listen to me carefully. Say I did say that to another woman. You know what that did? If her husband had lacked that in that area, and he doesn't compliment her, what she'll do now is she'll look for attention from me or somebody else, which is a picture of Israel. Other nations came to Israel and told them about themselves. They weren't satisfied with what Yah said. They were looking for other nations. That's why they went out whoring. So when I go to another woman, I say, oh, you look really nice and pretty today. I gave her attention. It draws her eyes away from her husband. And Yah says, that's a no-no. You just caused some problems now. You just caused a problem by telling her how nice she looked. Her husband didn't say it. So why are you saying it? Now you became a breach in between that relationship. Now you put something there, your very words and your smile or whatever else you did. You gave her something she wanted to hear that her own husband didn't. So now you've caused a problem because of your mouth. So guess what? I'll do the same to you. You understand? Measure for measure. So we can't do that. If you're a single woman, yeah, I'll set my eyes on you, but I got to be looking. I got to be asking questions. I got to be inquisitive. I just can't be opening my mouth. You understand? Because our sisters are beautiful and our brothers are handsome. But same thing with the woman. She can't be going and telling some other man, hey, you look really nice. and his woman ain't doing that, if my wife ain't telling me that I'm attractive, and someone would come to me and say, hey, you know what? You're really handsome. You speak very, very well. And guess what I say? Oh, really? You like that? Yeah, I sure do. Guess what that does? Me and my wife get into a problem. Guess what I think about? I think about that other woman. I think about what it could be like with her and would she respect me? You understand? So these relationships between husband and wife, children and parents, fathers and mothers, all these relationships were given to us to teach us about Yah and lines and borders not to cross.
That right there was.
I'm sorry, Ak. I'm sorry.
No. Hey, man, when the spirit leads, man, you do what the Most High commands you to do, man. You couldn't have broke that down any better than what you just did, Ak.
Yes. Well, that's it. You know, that's what y'all want us to know. Praise be the Holy One of Israel. Yeah, it is deep. We can be in a lot of trouble. We could be, because it shows Israel's whoring heart. She's a whore in nature, you guys. Yah says he actually calls us a dumb whore. He says you're a stupid whore because you're the kind of whore that pays other people to have them screw you. You pay them. That's the kind of woman he says that he was with, right? And that's why he put her out. He said, you know what, you've been doing this in my house. You got to go. So there's all these different ways that he will call us a son to him. He calls us his wife. He calls us his servant. He calls us all different things. You understand? He calls us a whore. He says all kind of stuff. You're my firstborn. So when you see all these different things, okay, you got to understand that Yah's given these names to tell us about the relationship. So in all these aspects of, and so when we look at our relationships, we look at our marriages, we look at our parenthood, we look at our fatherhood and our motherhood, look and understand that Yah is using these relationships to teach us. For example, when he talks about a woman, right? And he talks about her for her child, the innocent. He talks about how the child is crying out, and then the mother, and a lot of women know this, when a child cries out and a woman just had a baby, her body feels it. And then she starts, and when that baby cries out for milk or cries, she starts lactating because of the baby's crying. Easy, like that. The body parts that we have reflect Yah's glory. One of the words that he called himself is El Shaddai, okay? El Shaddai, okay? Meaning El is strength and power. El is substance. El is breast. The substance, like a child to like a baby to a mother. So when Yah talks, when he calls himself El Shaddai, what he's saying is, I'm the one of your sustenance. I will give you, I will take care of you. And I'm the one who embraces you to my chest. That's why he gave a woman breasts, is to reflect what he's doing for Israel. That's why women have breasts, so they can understand that. And that's why a man should understand that. These are the things that you and I are not taught. So when we look at a woman, Akis and brothers, when we look at a woman, we're supposed to look at her in that way. Anytime you see a breast on anything, an animal or whatever, the breast was given for sustenance, and it's a representation of what Yah does for Israel. And what Yah will do for that man's child through that woman. Like, this is how I'm going to provide for his seed, to take care of his seed, is through that woman. So that's why, and that's for our women, they should not be out here dressed in a certain way. That's why she can't have her chest all revealed out. She can't do that. Your daughters can't do it. My daughters don't do that, and they're not going to do it. You know, it's not going to happen, because we supposed to respect our bodies and our vessels. You know, men are trees, and we hold the seed, and the woman is she's the field. And then when we come together, we find the field that we want to be in. We plant the seed, and a tree and a sprout comes out of it, and that's your sons. Your sons are the ones who hold the seeds. They're the trees of you that are planted. Then once they grow older and mature enough, they don't need that staff on the side of them no more. You can untie the staff, and they're fully developed, and they're ready to go ahead and create the next generation. So everything that we do, you guys, is connected to our bodies. Everything we see, touch, smell, taste, and handle. Okay. And our bodies are not the temples of the Holy One of Israel. They're not. I know the New Testament says they are. They're not. They're not Yah's temple. Yah's temple, okay, will be in Yerushalayim, and he will dwell there. Yah doesn't dwell in human beings like that. He doesn't. He'll give us his spirit like he did to Moshe. He gave Moshe a huge portion of his spirit. He gave the 70 elders part of his spirit. And those, there were 2 who weren't even inside with the elders that he gave his spirit to. He took a portion of Moshe's spirit and put it upon all 70. So how much of Yah's spirit did Moshe have? He took a portion of it and gave it to say he had enough of it to dispense some of it upon the 70 elders. You understand? So we're not his temple. We're vessels, we're Elohims ourselves. And then he plans on giving us his spirit when we get back, and he cleanses us, and then he provides us with the rulings and the laws and the statutes that we need to keep. They're not going to be written in a book form anymore. They're going to be written on our minds. Because our ancestors refused to go get it from him and download it. We supposedly went up on the mountain. I don't know if you guys know that. That was the intent. You read it, Exodus 20, it says the intent was the people were supposed to go up. You look at in Deuteronomy 5, they were supposed to go up. And they never went up to receive the information because they got afraid and they left and went back to their tents. So now you and I are the descendants of these people. And he's saying, okay, now that you guys are in the place that you are, you decided to turn back to me. You showed some good faith towards me. I see some improvement in your attitude that you don't want to serve another God and you're ready to be faithful to me. Now me and you can sit down and I'm going to bring you out to the wilderness again. And we're going to do it all over again. And then we're going to do a download now. So you'll never have anybody teach you again. And I'm going to give you a Lashon HaKodesh. I'm going to give you a special language that nobody else knows except for you and me. So when you call out to me, I'll answer you before you can even finish your sentence. Isn't that exciting? That's what we're going to get. You understand? Isn't it? Come on now. Can I get some feedback?
Praises, man, to the Most High Yahweh, man.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, right?
Praises, man. And I wanted to add on to something right there, man, because you know how our people was afraid to go up on the mount with Moses, like you said, to download into our brain, into our soul, literally, when we it was giving out the 10 words, is because we was scared of his voice. Now his voice literally is thunder. See, what people got to realize is back then it didn't rain.
No.
The water literally came up from the ground. That's how he watered everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when they start hearing that thunder and the Most High started talking, they was like, whoa.
Oh, you can also see that in Samuel. Remember Samuel, they accused Samuel of taking something from him. And he said, well, let's see. Let's see if Yah's happy with you. And he called a storm in.
Right.
And a storm came and it thundered and lightning and rain, and they were running and scared because that's what's coming. Yah says, I come in a dark cloud. So he's coming. So the way that he came is the way that he's coming. See, the thing is when you read the Torah, you look at some of those things where they had asked a question. Who has ever heard Yah was speaking out of the cloud as we did and stayed alive? That's something that's said in Isaiah as well. Yah's coming that way. That's how he's going to destroy people, because no one can ever hear him and stay alive except for who?
Our ancestors were the only ones who got to see Yahweh and got to hear Yahweh. Yes.
And that's what makes us special.
Right. As a matter of fact, Moses had to put a veil on. That's how powerful Yah is.
And it's very likely too that you and I will have that same glow, because it says that when the nations see us, they'll say, oh, that's the blessed of Yahweh.
Right.
They're going to recognize and say they're the blessed seed. Well, how are they going to know that? If it's based on us being black, no, there's other people. He's saying there's going to be a difference. When he talked about putting a fear of him on us, where people saw it and they knew who we were, it's a certain look that you and I will have that it causes people to get away from us, that are going to be afraid of us. He said 5 of you would chase 100 and 10 of you would chase 1,000. How did that happen if there's not a glory or fear that Yah will put on us? There's a look that you and I will have that you and I don't even know that would be there, that would recognize it. And when we got in trouble, he took that fear of us off of us, of him, because he says, I think it's in Deuteronomy chapter number 2 and Deuteronomy chapter number 11, verse 25. He says, I'm going to put the fear of me on you, so all the nations will be in dread of you. They'll be afraid of you. You see? Yes. So what he did from us, the reason why we can't stand before our enemies, because he took that away from us. And then when he restores us, he's going to put it back on us, and it's going to be on us tough. You understand? We're going to do whatever we need to do for him. So this is what Yah is saying to us. But the only way we can get that is when we get restored and he puts the spirit back in us, he downloads, and we're not going to need anybody to teach us nothing, because we're going to be okay with y'all. And then as a result of that, if you read in Isaiah, he says, I'm going to bring all the nations to you, and they're going to come and supply you with the food and everything. You guys are going to have your own stuff, but they're going to bring you your gold, your silver, all the stuff that they do. They're going to be bringing offerings to me all the time. You guys are my servants. You guys, that's what I'm going to use them to pay you. You guys are going to want to be the wealthiest people on the face of the earth. You're the chief of nations. Jeremiah chapter 31, I think 31:17. You are the chief of nations. Of all the nations, I chose you to be the head of the nations. And you will be. But you have to do your part. You have to understand that my job is to teach you how to execute judgment. And I want to find out if you're wholehearted with me. I need to know. I test everybody. I test your father Abraham. I test everybody. I'm testing you. That's why I sent you to a land to serve gods of wood and stone, so I can find out if you really do love me. Because if you really do love me, you'll abandon those gods and you'll come back to me. And you did. And that's why you're on Zoom right now, because you gave up on the gods of your the people around you. You said, I'm not going to serve those gods anymore. You admitted and you confessed we were going against Yah. And as a result of that, that entitles you to be in a relationship with me. You see, because you're keeping your end of the covenant now. Here's the question. Have you accepted Yah as your only Elohim? Yes. Do you make any images of anything? No. Do you use his name and say he's something and he's not? No. Do you keep the Shabbat? Yes. Do you honor your father and mother? Yes. Do you commit adultery? No. Do you steal? No. Do you murder? No. Do you lie and bear false witness? No. Do you covet anybody? No. Do you look at anybody's wife with your eye and say, oh, I wish I had her, she's beautiful? No. Do you compliment her? No. Do you look at somebody's house and say, oh, I love this house, it's so nice. In the back of your heart, you wanted it yourself? No.
I'm gonna stop that. We all have done it, like, hey, that's a real nice house. That's a nice car. Man,
no.
Choose those.
No.
Yeah, we gotta cut that out.
No, nothing that.
Right.
Nothing. And people ask me, you like it? It's like, oh, yeah. Congratulations. If a woman came to me and said, do I look lovely? Guess what I would say? Why are you asking me that? Has a woman ever walked up to a man and said, do I look good? To a stranger man? What would you say if a woman did that to you, brothers? What would you say about a woman who walked up to you and said that? I'm about to get on the men, sisters. Don't worry about it. What would you say to a woman who walked up to you and said that?
Do you not have a husband?
No, why are you asking me? What's up with you? Why are you? I should be able to do that on my own. Why are you doing it?
Right.
You see? And if it's a brother coming and say, hey, look, hey, aren't I handsome? You'd be like, well, sister be like, what? Arrogant. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Why are you, what's up with you? Right? So Yah is saying to us, we got to stay in our lane, and we have to be appreciative for what he's given us. So whatever we have in our lives, let's be thankful for it. You know, whatever you have, be thankful for it, and focus on what Yah's doing for us individually, for yourselves. And that's what it is, you know. But I thank you guys today for allowing me to be here. I got to run, but I didn't mean to, talk too much, but you know how I get. Once I start getting on something,
no, man. That is the spirit. I always say, man, that the Most High Yah bring out exactly what it is that He want to be brought out, man. He obviously wanted not only us, but whoever else get to watch this video. This is what He wants to be heard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, praise Him. Thank you.
All praise to the Most High Yah, for real.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. I love you guys, and I look forward to, just remember, let's stay focused, and let's remember that this picture that I sent of laser focus on what He's talking about. Let's get in pursuit of Him. Let's chase Him, because He's worthy of us chasing Him. He's worthy of our praise. He's worthy of all adoration and exalting and homage and everything, all of our praise. He's worthy of our songs. We wake up in the morning, we should sing a song to Him. I'm not a singer, but I sing to Him. I let Him know that I love Him. And he's teaching me how, when you talk to others, you need to share with them some of the things that you're doing, because often, we miss out on these things. We don't really think about them. Yah is more happy when we're more focused on Him, and then a lot of people are going to accuse you and say, well, you lost your mind because all you talk about is Him. Well, He's worthy to be talked about. That's why we were created. We were created for that, to give Him praise. And he chose us not to have nothing right now to find out who's going to praise him with absolutely nothing.
Right. Oh, praise the Most High, yeah.
No land, no offerings, nothing except for thanksgiving for what we don't have. He said, I put you out because you guys had the abundance of all things, but you never were thankful.
Right.
You never praised me for the abundance of all things. So let's see if you praise me without anything. And guess what we're doing? We have absolutely nothing compared to what we had. And we're like, thank you. I praise you for absolutely nothing here. Thank you. Thank you for the trials. Thank you for the punishment. Thank you, because through it all, we're going to be restored, you guys. We're going to be restored. Yeah, he's going to take care of us. Trust me. So your work and your efforts are not in vain. Nothing that you're doing right now is in vain. None of your studies are in vain. None of your prayers. He understands what we're going through. And he's just letting us know. I don't like, just as much as you guys don't like being in exile, I don't like you being there. But I always want you guys to remember something. We've never had a time with Yah without any of these problems. Israel has been going against Yah from the moment he took them out of Mitzrayim. Even into this very day, they're still rebellious against Yah.
Well, you know, right. And actually every day that we wake up, honestly, and I praise to the Most High. Yeah, I know you said you got to go real quick. I want to bring the scripture out. Everything we do is vanity anyway. He knows that because he's the one who put us here in his captivity. So let me read this real quick, man. Ecclesiastes 9, verse 9.
Okay.
And the scripture says, live joyfully with thy wife, whom thou lovest all thy days of the life of thy vanity, which he hath given thee under the sun.
Yes.
All the days of thy vanity, for that is thy portion in this life, and in thy labor which thou takest under thy sun. Whatever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might, for there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave whither thou goest. So just know that he put us here in this captivity. Worship the Most High Yah in everything that you do, but live and have fun. You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
Day, you know what I mean? But just know, at the end of the day, absolutely everything that you do, even though, you know, you might want to go buy a pair of shoes that you want, you might want to go buy the shirt that you want. It's vanity, but guess what? He places here.
Yeah.
Give thanks for that anyway.
Yeah. Because guess what it is, though? But you could do it you could just still follow the laws, the statutes, and the commandments.
Right.
I went out yesterday, and my wife took me to lunch yesterday. We went out to this Japanese restaurant. I really enjoy sushi, but it's cooked, right? Mm-hmm. So I had a great meal, and I was like, man, this is like the little miso soup and stuff. I was like, man, this is like a joy, a little joy that you can have your taste buds. You know, you can still worship Yah and thank him for those things, right? Just the little things. So I thank you for that, Aki. That's a great closing script for me. You know, I love you guys, and thank you so much for having me. All right.
All praises to the Most High Yah.
All praises. All right. Shalom, everyone.
Everybody.
Shalom. Thank you.
Do you know who you are? Do you even know where you come from? Do you even know who the creator of the heavens and the earth is? These are some of the questions that so-called black people ask on a daily basis. And if you ain't know, we are the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Black people are the real Jews. We are the biblical Israelites. You want to learn your history? You want to know the truth? Repent and turn back to the Most High. We are Israel, and we have the heir to the throne. The heir to the throne. Phinehas Gad Israel, heir to the throne. Album features The Deacon, Sleepy LaFleur, No Name Servant, Shamaria Ben Israel, China McLeod, Rasta, Mr. Mosley, and many more. Album releases on all online platforms. October 16th, 2020.